Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's November 16th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And big news day, Matt, because the news is still fresh, I guess, from early last evening when word filtered out that the University of Miami had given Blake James notice that he was not going to be continuing as athletic director. And it was packaged as a mutual parting of the ways, which is very nice. You know, Blake certainly deserves that. But make no mistake, Miami is looking to do big things with its athletic program. They're looking to inject serious dollars into their athletic program. And what this was a decision that we need a more, I guess we could say, high-powered individual as the head of athletics who can usher Miami into that next era, and they obviously decided that Blake James could not be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, just like Blake hired Manny in a hurry without a national search, like they hired Blake at the time he was at UM already. He had no major college athletic director experience. Like, I don't blame Blake for what happened. I blame the people who put Blake in this position to fail. It would be like if they hired, you or me to be the athletic director. Like, would we, we'd do our best, but like if we failed, would it be our fault or would it be the people who hired us, their fault? So
it's a pattern. It's a pattern.
I feel bad because people blame Blake. He was not going to say no to a promotion, but it was obviously the wrong hire, and it's been bad, man. Like, he was not a heavy hitter. He was good at raising money, which, a lot of people say to me, oh, all the athletic director needs to do is raise money. That's their only job. That's not their only job. And you can see it.
No, they need to make sure hires are done properly is what they need to do. And the downfall of Blake James was how poorly he handled the transition between Mark Richt and Manny Diaz.
Not just that. I mean, you can see it in so many little, even the way he deals with the media by only handpicking the friendly media he thought was friendly for this ridiculous interview for the vote of no confidence from Manny. I mean, you could just go through different examples, like, it's like coaches, right? You and I have been around a lot of great coaches, not just at Miami, but from other teams that we've covered, when they come to Miami. And the great coaches, like, you're sort of intimidated as a reporter sometimes. Like, I don't want to ask the wrong question. Like, with Manny and Blake, it's like they're your friend. You're not scared of them. You're not, thinking that you'll offend them. Like, they're just like your compatriots. And like, it's hard for fans to understand that don't interact with these coaches on a daily basis. But like, there's an aura around great coaches, and there's an aura around great, leaders. Athletic directors are supposed to be great leaders. Neither of these guys had that aura. I don't know how you create it because I don't have it. I'm not going to say you don't, Gary. You can make that decision yourself.
Listen,
do you agree with me? Like the great coaches of the past at Miami, you're like, you're almost like you've got to really compose yourself and make sure you're asking the right question, and you don't want to be embarrassed.
I mean, Howard was like that. I think Jimmy was like that. I think Butch was like that.
Larry
not
was
all
not.
of them were like that.
Larry was not.
Nope.
Randy was not.
Nope.
Al
was not. No, Manny.
And those are the coaches that don't succeed. Like, there's something to be said for the greatest coaches are also the biggest jerks, and
no
also
doubt.
the most intimidating guys.
They command the room. Like, when they walk in the room, they're there. And that to me is a big part of the deal. And I know I'm a broken record, talking about how perfect of a fit that I think Mario Cristobal would be for this Miami job. But I mean, listen, there is nobody that you could put on a candidate list other than maybe Lane Kiffin, just because he's such a character, that you could put into that Miami football office that would command a presence everywhere he went in South Florida. And if they can't get Mario, there's probably going to be a lot of support to looking at Lane Kiffin, even though he brings some baggage to the table from previous stages of his career. I don't know if he's different now. I haven't been around him ever.
People say he's changed.
People
You
say
know?
he's changed, so
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe.
But I mean,
he
look,
has.
Mario's the home run hire. I mean, Mario's the guy you got to get. If you don't get him, like I know you've said,
Yeah.
what you said yesterday on that, what is it, CaneSport Now, whatever it's called.
CaneSport right now.
CaneSport right now. Yeah. I know you said
Where
like
you had your legion of fans flocking,
all four of them.
in
Yeah.
unison.
Yeah.
In fact, wait a minute. Like, what was the guy? Some guy said that I'm Robin and you're Superman. Like, what?
I like that guy.
Where did that come from?
Listen, I log in under many different handles and post messages to you, Gary. I'm not going to tell you all my handles. Anyway, so my point being, what was I just talking about? I had a point to make before you distracted me.
Talking about commanding a room
With Superman. No. We had moved on.
Having a presence.
Oh, this is what you said yesterday. No, it's what you said yesterday. So basically what you said is if you don't get Mario, then wait a year. And, I have a problem with that. And
if you can't get a home run hire. Now, Lane Kiffin, if he's reformed, I think would also classify as a home run hire. I would put him right there next to Mario, probably at the next slot, just because of how strongly I feel about Mario at Miami. But Lane Kiffin would be a really good hire if he's gotten his personal life and everything together.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So what I was trying to say is, I think you have to make the change this year. And the point I made yesterday, which still holds true, is if ever there's a year where you're okay recruiting wise to replace a coach, it's this year because of the COVID numbers. And if you look at the scholarship eligibility numbers, the roster next year is going to be fine with a minuscule class and adding some transfers. So, like, if you wait another year to do this, they're going to need a class of maybe 15 or 20. Can Manny Diaz and his staff, really recruit successfully for a year, knowing they're basically just having a coach in waiting situation where people don't know who the other coach is, the new coach will be. I guess your idea would be wait for Mario. If he doesn't come this year, he'll come next year. But I just don't think you can afford to wait at this point. It's the perfect time. Let me
ask you a question. What if you don't get Mario? What if you don't get Lane Kiffin, and now you're fishing in the Dave Aranda Sea, Luke Fickel, there's all Mark Stoops.
Well, I mean, here's the problem. The problem is Miami's not the same job it was in the early 2000s when everybody in the country wanted to come here. The truth is, if not for Mario Cristobal's ties to Miami, this probably is a program now that is only attractive to damaged coaches. Like, you're not
there's other jobs that are going to be open. I think there's a chance Michigan gets open. Florida's going to USC, LSU.
So you're hiring a coach who got fired somewhere else, or you're hiring a coach who was an analyst somewhere, or a guy at a mid-major. And that's where Miami's at. So that's why if you can get Mario, great. Lane Kiffin, I think, would be great. But look, you may not get those guys. Like this, like I said yesterday, this program has unfortunately become scattered with, tombstones of coaches, head coaches and assistants who have not panned out here and then could not find a job at the same level as they were at Miami because they took this job. The Dan Enoses of the world. I mean, you go down I'm not going to name 20 coaches, but there's 20 coaches in the last 10 years who couldn't get an equal level job after they took a job at Miami.
Because if you don't make it at Miami, Matt, you got a stigma against you.
Right, but now the stigma has become you go to Miami, that might be the end of your career, and that's
you better succeed. You better be successful if you go to Miami. You're totally right.
Yeah, so this is why
I agree with you. Yes,
right.
You are totally right. If you go to Miami, you better be successful.
Correct, and they haven't been. So, but again, it all comes back to me to look. You've been touting this quote about the recruiting being the most important part of a football team. I don't disagree. Bad coaches can win with great recruits. So the recruiting cycle, now is the time to hire a coach. If it's a mid-major up and comer, and that's the best you can do, and the Miami AD, I agree with you. But waiting a year is possibly just putting off the inevitable and putting you another year down the rabbit hole of being even worse than it's going to be.
Better than a 5-year contract.
Better than knowing you already can't succeed with what you have.
Yeah, but isn't it better?
If you can't get Mario now, why can you suddenly get him next year?
Well, because the only reason
Lane Kiffin doesn't want to come now, why is he suddenly going to come next year?
There's only one reason I think they couldn't get Mario this year, and that's if he feels his team is so good there at Oregon next year that he can't possibly leave there right now. But I think they can get Mario. But to me, that's the only reason why he wouldn't do it. Either that, or they're not willing to make the commitment that he needs to be successful. Those are the only two things. And I'll tell you right now, they are going to probably puke at the price tag.
You have to do it. I mean, you have to do it.
I agree, but that's us speaking. I mean, they're going to be.
The price tag is not going to be any different a year from now.
I know, but what I'm saying is the University of Miami is going to be asked to go to a place financially.
Right.
I mean, I know they're willing to make a stronger commitment and put money in and all that. To get somebody like Mario to come here, you're going to really have to commit. And
this is a problem because Miami, maybe it's going to change, but Miami's athletic department has been a business always. It's not about we're willing to lose money to win games. It's never been that here, and it has to become that. It has to become that if they're going to be great, because you have to take a leap of faith. If you're going to hire a great athletic director, you can pay him past your budget and hope he makes up for it. If you're going to hire a great coach, you got to pay him past your budget. And I know there's ACC revenue sharing, but you just got to hope it works out. You got to do that for your fan base. That's what you have to do. The biggest obstacle Miami faces is, I don't know how they do it at Alabama and some of the other public schools, but I know in the state of Florida, the University of Florida and Florida State, they get money from the state of Florida. They're a public school. So in addition to all the giant donors they have on that enormous fan base and that enormous alumni pool that's bigger than Miami, the state's also paying them money. At the University of Miami, it's a small private school, not as many donors, not as much big money coming in, no money from the state being contributed. And now you're trying to compete on an even playing field financially for one of the top athletic directors in the country, one of the top coaches in the country, with these programs that have way bigger coffers. So if it becomes a business decision, that's not going to end well for Miami. It can't. It just has to be about, we don't care about money anymore. We want to win. And if that's the outlook, it's going to work. If the outlook is, we gotta pinch some pennies here, that's not going to work.
No, that won't work. And it can't be the request. The asks can't be stupid. And I don't think they would be. You need airplane hours. Okay, no question. But you start asking for a new indoor practice facility or something like that, that's obviously not going to happen. So, I think whoever is going to get the job needs to be real and make sure they ask for what they really need to be successful. And Miami needs to deliver on that. So we'll be talking about that more, Matt, as the days go on. And, right now, Manny Diaz is still the head coach. And I don't want to be too disrespectful here. And, we keep getting into these conversations about the post-Manny era. And that's not fair to Manny. He's still the head coach until somebody decides he's not. And so we'll try to behave ourselves a little bit better. I don't know how possible that's going to be, but we'll try. We'll do our best. All right. So lots of coverage on the Blake James exit on the website this morning. Everybody kept asking who are the ADs they can go after? What's the list? So I spent a lot of time last night doing some research on that, talking to a lot of different people and thinking it through from the Miami standpoint. And I came up with my top 5 picks to be athletic director. And I hope you guys enjoy that. That's on the website this morning. In addition to that, we've got the story about Blake's dismissal. And we also have a CaneSport Right Now show, about an hour and a half show. So you're going to need a little time to watch it. So we'll keep this one short. But Matt and I spent a lot of time answering questions from the fans after Blake's dismissal yesterday and discussing all the ins and outs of all the variables of it in about an hour and a half long podcast. CaneSport Right Now, that's also on the website this morning. Now, okay, Matt's been talking a lot the last several days and has built
what does that even mean?
This legion of Zoom out there. So we have a gift for you guys this morning. One of the big things Matt's been saying is that Manny Diaz was a colossal failure this year because he took on the dual role of head coach and defensive coordinator. And I have been saying, no, absolutely not. Manny did the right thing because he took his fate into his own hands. He wasn't sitting there, twiddling his thumbs during practice while Rhett Lashley ran the offense and Blake Baker or somebody else or Bob Shoop or whoever.
I mean, you can think you can fly and jump out of an airplane with no parachute. It doesn't make it right.
You're going to interrupt me again. I'm telling the story.
Go ahead.
I'm setting the table, okay?
Incorrectly, but go ahead.
I thought that Manny made a mistake, okay? He thought Manny made a mistake.
Agreed.
I've disagreed, okay? So yesterday on this show, we talked about Matt having the guts to ask Manny that question himself. And we put him to the challenge, and you legion of Zoomers out there that are on the Matt train are going to be really happy because your disciple came through, and he asked that question. And as a special gift here on Good Morning CaneSport, I'm going to play what Manny said for
God.
You would say that if you were assuming that would be the reason why the numbers are the way the numbers are. I mean, we've had our challenges this year defensively. We're in week 11, and it's been hard for us to get settled in our secondary. And that's very. I think if you compare offense and defense, you see as our offensive lines got settled as the year's gone on, and how that's helped us on offense. And secondary, we've had guys in and out in the lineup, and then you finally kind of get James going, and then James, is out. And you have guys, you have Avante playing 54 snaps in Tallahassee in his, third ever college game or fourth ever college game, and Cam back there playing 77 snaps or whatever it is. And those guys they're competing and fighting their tails off. And but getting our best four, getting our best five, and eventually our best six, because that's really what hurt us when James went out, because James is our dime. We had to move Tyreek to dime. Now you have different changes up at corners. I mean, that's been a part of our inconsistency this year. So yeah, I mean, it's always hard to say, to answer your question, like, well, here's the reason why, Matt, that we're having the issues that we're having. But at this point, we're trying to get better every week and trying to find ways to play winning defense. And the reality is after the first penalty drive, they had a 12-yard drive after a sudden change, and they didn't get in the end zone until after the 4th and 14 play, which, generally speaking, in a Miami Florida State game, that's probably an improvement on performance from where we've been over the past weeks. That's what makes not finishing the game such a hard pill to swallow. Well, that's where I'm blessed, because I've got a phenomenal defensive staff. I mean, when you have guys like, Travaris Robinson and Bob Shoop and Jess Simpson, Jonathan Packey, you guys, been this for a long time. You've got that. There would be a greater concern, Matt, if the team wasn't playing. You know what I mean? If that's what I'm saying. I mean, to me, the fight, the energy, the motivation, the emotional toughness of the football team, that to me reflects what our program is all about. And that's the foundation for everything that we do successfully going forward. So I think the part as coaches is to get our guys to continue to execute better. And what we saw on Saturday is to get our guys to execute better in crucial moments, and so that that we can function when you're in highly stressful situations.
All right, I'm not sure he answered the question, and I don't know who the guy was in the middle of that thing with the mask. So
Schoolhouse Rock guy. That's he's an all-star, that guy. So can I talk? I got a couple.
Yeah. Well, I want to know, do you feel he answered your question sufficiently?
Well, you didn't even show my questions. I had a follow-up.
The question was, Manny, do you think you made it? I mean, it was a long-winded question. I was trying to keep it concise, but the question was, Manny, do you think you made a mistake being defensive coordinator as well as head coach?
Right, and I also gave him the stats from last year when he fired Blake Baker, who that defense had allowed 27 points and 408 yards a game, and now Manny's defense is allowing the same amount of yards and over 30 points a game. So I made sure to mention that to Manny too. But no, of course he didn't answer my question, and that's why I had a follow-up, which you didn't put in there. But
no, I put the answer to the follow-up too.
Yeah, so the follow-up was more like, listen, Manny, I was really trying to get at, if you feel the dual role has been too much to handle, essentially, because he didn't answer it either time. And, I'm going to read you a couple of texts I got after I asked my question from media members. So one of them, a media member, texted me, he totally didn't want to answer your question, but you are correct. That was from one of them. And then another one seemed very happy I asked it. And they wrote, let's see if I find this one. Let's see. And they wrote, Matt, I like the way you framed your question about dual role and then clarified, I'm using that stuff. So I guess other reporters liked it, even though Manny didn't answer it. I don't know what else to tell you, but it didn't take guts to ask it. I mean, you made the point it was a fair question. I wasn't mean about it. I mean, the way I phrased it to him, literally, it was, do you think in some way taking on the dual role of being the head coach as well as defensive coordinator was perhaps more challenging than you expected? After I gave him the stats. That's what I asked him. I didn't say, were you not up to the job? Because as reporters,
you were suggesting that. Come on. I mean,
as reporters, our job's not to be
mean.
You
get a lot of applause for asking the tough question. I mean,
it's not a tough question to ask. It's a fair question.
It was a fair question. Absolutely.
But it's all about how you phrase the question to not be mean, because these guys work hard. They don't want to lose.
Oh my God. And look, it's all a matter of perspective. Like, I think he did the right thing. Like, we don't agree on this, but it's fine. You could talk to 20 people. You might get 10 on each side or whatever. I think he did the right thing, taking his fate into his own hands. If he gets fired in 2 weeks, Matt, he can do it.
First of all, he didn't take his fate in his own hands. He took every Miami Hurricanes fate in his own hands.
Okay,
That's
but
not
if he
okay.
gets fired in 2 weeks,
if you jump out of a plane with no parachute, you can't take the entire rest of your family and make them jump out with no parachute too. That's what he did.
Okay, but if he gets fired in 2 weeks, he can pack up his office and walk out of that building in peace, I think. Like, he gave it his best shot. No regrets.
A coach is a parent of the program. A parent is supposed to do what's the best thing in the interest of that program. What he did was not in the best interest.
He's sitting there thinking, oh man, I'm a shitty defensive coordinator. No.
Of course he doesn't think that. But what he did, maybe your argument is he doesn't realize what he did, but you sound like your argument would be he did the right thing.
Listen, being a defensive coordinator that was perceived to be good is what got him in that office in the first place. He was in trouble. It wasn't working with Blake Baker after 2 years. He took it into his own hands and let his own fate ride in his ability to coach the defense. It's not working out. They're 5-5. Okay, but
the defense is worse than it was under Blake Baker.
No argument. I was the first one telling everybody last year, don't blame this on Blake Baker. It's not all Blake Baker. It was not all Blake Baker.
Okay, when you made the statement that you thought it was a good idea, I sort of think in the back of my head, you were thinking, his defense will be better than Blake Baker's was. But it's not. Yet you still stand by the same statement that you were correct. I don't understand. There's a disconnect.
If I'm personally going down, I want to go down on my own abilities. I don't
want to go down. Going down. He's taking down everybody with him. He's taking down every fan with him.
Wait a minute. Wait. You think about this. You coached 20 years waiting for your opportunity. And now you have a chance to be the head coach in University of Miami. And you're not, and you're failing. Years 1 and 2 were not good. You're running out of time. I'm riding on my abilities, and if I'm not good enough, I'm walking out of that building with my head square on my shoulders, with dignity and peace. And I think he will if he gets fired. He's giving it his best shot. It's a rough year.
You're missing the big picture. You're making it about him. It's about the entire Hurricane Nation that he let down by making this decision.
Yeah, but he's not looking at it that way. He thinks he's doing the right thing.
I don't care how he's looking at it. He's
better
supposed
than Blake.
to care.
He can do it better than Blake Baker was doing it. That's what he's thinking.
He thought he could. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize a head coach with no prior major college head coaching experience should probably not also take on the dual role of defensive coordinator. It might be a little too much for you to handle.
But then he's doing nothing because Rhett Lashley's running the offensive side of the organization.
What do the head coaches do everywhere else where they have 2 coordinators? They manage the program.
The good head coaches are involved in game planning on both sides of the ball.
Oh, my God. There's always fires popping up that you and I don't hear about always. We hear about some that we can't report. There's always fires popping up. They got 105 kids they got to deal with. That's not easy. They got parents to deal with. The last thing you need as a defense coordinator and a head coach is to deal with all the outside stuff, plus trying to game plan, plus trying to be ready to call game day stuff, plus dealing with all the outside noise as a head coach.
I was watching Jimbo Fisher do it at Texas A&M the other day.
Some can do it. Some can do it. Not a first-time head coach who's never done it before.
Well, that's a head coach. Point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right. So, let's move on from that. I just thought that everybody would find that interesting. All right. Also on the website this morning, we've got an analysis of Virginia Tech pointing towards Saturday's game. So you guys will like that. On the recruiting front, we have a story with Kamari Rogers, who's coming to the Virginia Tech game this weekend, the cornerback recruit. So you'll find that interesting as well. And we have our staples of Tuesday morning, our Tracking the Commits feature, where you can see what the commits did in their high school games this past weekend, and Canes in the NFL Week 10, where you can see what the Pro Canes did in their NFL games this past weekend. On a program note, you got CaneSport Live tonight. That's going to be a doozy, I guarantee you. I encourage everybody to tune in for that. We've got the Lamar Thomas Show Wednesday night. Real good guest list is starting to come together for that one. Think Bermuda Triangle. We may end up with all of them. We'll see. So, listen, we've given you guys enough to watch and listen to for today. Matt and I are going to shut the hell up. Make sure you saw CaneSport right now. We talk in depth about the Blake James dismissal, the athletic director situation. So for Matt Shodell, who had the guts to ask Manny Diaz the tough question yesterday, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you for joining us on Good Morning CaneSport. We'll see you tonight on CaneSport Live and then tomorrow morning on this show. Goodbye, everybody.